We live in a world where everything is designed to keep us hooked. Video games, social media, junk food. We live in a world of abundance, and that's created so much addiction. Everyone struggles with an addiction nowadays because we live in a world of such abundance. Even though there's so much pleasure, there's such an abundance of pleasure, it seems that mental health problems are at a high we've never seen before, at a level we've never seen before. There's so many mental health problems. Even though there's so much joy and pleasure in the world. So maybe this joy doesn't actually lead to pleasure. This pleasure doesn't lead to actual happiness. Once we get this addiction, it's hard to stop. We end up in this loop. We do the habits, we stop the habits, and then we end up doing it again. Because we feel that discomfort. When we have an addiction, we want to keep doing it over and over and over again, whether it's a substance, whether it's a behavior. If you're addicted to watching TV shows, you'll watch one episode, and then you want to watch the next, and you want to watch the next, and before you realize, 1 hour has gone by, 2 hours have gone by, 3 hours have gone by. And basically a whole day just consists of watching TV shows. And in the same way, social media and Instagram Reels, especially. Most people are addicted to Reels. When they eat food, they want to scroll on Reels. When they are in a doctor's office, they want to scroll on Reels. When they're waiting in line at the supermarket, they want to scroll on Reels. So this is an epidemic that you're not just facing, that everybody is facing. This addiction pandemic that we have. Everyone is addicted in one way or another, and this is solely because of these modern things, this abundance of dopamine. So what is addiction? When you do these pleasurable activities like scrolling on Instagram, or eating junk food, or maybe playing video games, or watching TV shows, what happens is your brain releases this molecule called dopamine. And this dopamine attaches to its receptor. When it attaches to these receptors, it creates an electrical signal. And that electrical signal makes us feel pleasure. And so we crave dopamine because we love pleasure. We want to feel pleasure. Because pleasure makes us feel happy, makes us feel joyful. But the problem is when we scroll on Instagram, we get this dopamine and we get more dopamine. And each time you watch a reel, you get more and more dopamine. Your brain wasn't designed to handle this much dopamine. Your brain was not designed to handle it. When you think back to the caveman days, right? When you hunt down a boar and you eat its meat, right? You eat the boar. It feels great. You used to get that pleasure. They used to get that pleasure from eating food from that boar. Right? And the pleasure they used to get, the dopamine they used to get back in the day was so little compared to now. It's like holding a candle to a big flame. The amount of dopamine that they used to get. Like they used to get such little amounts of dopamine, but they used to be happier. They used to have way less mental health issues than we have. So this just shows that this pleasure dopamine doesn't lead to happiness. It only leads to short-term pleasure. So when we continue to scroll on Instagram and we continue to watch TV shows over and over and over again, you keep bombarding your brain with this dopamine. Your receptors can't handle it. These electrical signals, they're going to start frying your receptors because it can't handle that much. So if it keeps getting fried, it's going to die. And if your receptors die, you won't be able to feel that dopamine. So you won't be able to feel joy in life. So your brain, what it does is it down-regulates it, which makes the receptors less able to receive dopamine. Less dopamine is able to attach to these receptors. So you're able to get less electrical signal, the pleasure, from any activity that you do. That's why when you do some habit for the first time, like smoking or drinking, right? Like watching Instagram Reels for the first time, you get this much dopamine, and that feels amazing. But then, because there's so much dopamine, your brain down-regulates the receptors. So what happens is, the next time you do it, you're able to feel less. Even though you're putting the same amount of dopamine in your brain, less of it attaches to the receptors. So what happens is, you're able to feel less dopamine from the same habit that you used to do. So now you need more of it. You need double that dopamine to feel that same pleasure. Because now, what you're doing is forcing more dopamine onto these receptors. You're forcing it. You're bombarding your brain with even more dopamine. And when you keep doing this, when you keep scrolling on Instagram, when you keep watching TV shows or playing video games, when you continuously do it, your dopamine receptors, they can't get down regulated anymore. So they end up dying. These receptors start dying. When they start dying, you're able to feel less pleasure, you're able to feel less joy, less motivation. Because dopamine, right, like against popular belief, it's not a pleasure molecule. It's a motivation molecule. Dopamine creates motivation to go get that pleasurable activity. That's why when you get that pleasurable activity, your dopamine drops. Because there's no more motivation to get it. So it drops. So each time you do this activity, your dopamine increases, then it drops. It drops below the level at which it was before. If this is your baseline, your normal amount, your dopamine will peak when you watch an Instagram reel, and then it'll fall afterwards, and it'll fall below the baseline. And you get this deficit state, dopamine deficit, which just makes you feel uncomfortable. Have you realized, like, after you're done watching Instagram or watching a couple of episodes of a TV show, you want to go and get more. You want more of that dopamine. You want more. You want to watch that TV show more. You want to scroll on Instagram Reels even more. That's why you can't stop with one Instagram Reel. You want to watch more and more and more. That's why you can't stop with one episode of a TV show. You want to watch more and more and more. Because once you're done, you get this deficit state. And that state creates pain. That pain, discomfort you get. You get that agitation, don't you? If you try to stop yourself, right? Today, just try this out. Okay? Go on Instagram. Look at one reel. Look at 2 reels. Look at 3 reels. And then stop. Get out of the app. You'll start feeling this agitation, this discomfort. That's the pain, that's the deficit state you're in right now. You got that dopamine peak, and now you're in this deficit state. So you're feeling pain right now. And this pain is what leads you to go and do it even more. So when you continuously do this, you keep getting these dopamine peaks, then you get these deficits, and then because of that, you keep doing it more. What you're doing is, you're frying your dopamine receptors, you're making your dopamine levels lower. Because when you keep doing this, like when you have a peak in dopamine, it falls and now your dopamine level is lower, your baseline level of dopamine. Without any of these addictions, how you feel, right? Your mood, it all depends on your dopamine, the dopamine circulating in your body. So when that gets reduced, you're able to feel less joy in life. When you just sit around, you're able to feel less joy, you feel the need to go and grab your phone and start scrolling on Instagram. You always need something going on in the background, like a podcast or music. These things are destroying you. It's destroying your dopamine levels, it's destroying your receptors. And when you get this pain, right, when your dopamine receptors start to die, you start doing it more. You start scrolling even more on Instagram. If you used to smoke, right, if you smoke, you're going to start smoking even more. That's why maybe the first time you only smoked 1 cigarette, and then next time 2. And now you're smoking 1 or 2 packs a day. If people are addicted to smoking, they do that. And this is how addiction builds, and this is the addiction loop. That you do this activity, afterwards you feel that agitation and pain, and you repeat it. You repeat it and you create addiction. So now it's very hard to get out of addiction. You know why? Because you can't live with that state of discomfort. You can't live with that state of that dopamine deficit state. Your dopamine levels are so low, you're not able to feel joy in life. You're not able to feel joy in everyday things. You're only able to feel a slight bit of joy when you do something like watching TV shows, watching Instagram reels, eating junk food, smoking. So what some people do is they stack these dopaminergic activities. They watch Instagram reels while playing video games. So that's double the dopamine. Both that dopamine together bombarding your brain. I need you to understand, when you keep putting this much dopamine into your brain, you're not gaining happiness. You're gaining this illusionary pleasure, like this transient pleasure that's going to go away once you're done. It's going to leave you in such a worse state. The more dopamine you put into your brain, the worse off you're going to be. Because your brain always wants to be balanced. Pain and pleasure are 2 sides of a seesaw. If you think of a seesaw, it's 2 sides of a seesaw. When the pleasure side gets heavy, your brain wants to balance it out with pain. So once your pleasure side gets heavier, your brain starts to increase the side of pain, and it overcompensates. So in the end, you end up having more pain than the pleasure you got. So this is not a good investment. This is a bad return on investment, because you're investing, you want pleasure, but you end up getting pain. The secret to happiness is not pleasure, it's actually pain. Because when you experience pain, your brain wants to balance that seesaw. So it increases the side of pleasure more than it does the pain. So what you get is this level of dopamine that's above the baseline that you had. So now you just feel happier. When you go and work out in the gym, right? When you go and work out, and once you're done, you feel happier, don't you? You feel happier when you do any sort of exercise. Once you're done, you feel happier, you feel proud. Because while you were doing that, you were experiencing that pain, the discomfort. When you experience that, when you do the hard work that you don't want to do, you don't want to go to the gym, you don't want to exercise, but you do it anyway. You push through and do it anyway. You feel better once you're done. Because you get this level of dopamine that's above your baseline. That's so powerful. And this is what you need to use to treat your addiction and to treat depression. And all the bad habits that you do, they are just symptoms of the real problem, that is mental health. Mental health is a real problem. And when you do these things, when you're in addiction, your dopamine levels, they go so low and your mental health becomes so bad. You need to improve your mental health, and slowly your bad habits will start going away, your addictions will start going away. So now we need to fix this. We need to identify the addiction. Okay? We need to identify the addiction. What is your addiction? Is it video games? Is it TV shows? Is it Instagram, smoking, drinking? Whatever it is. Junk food. Whatever it is. Addiction was created same. There's no different neurological pathways for junk food addiction, or like video game addiction, or TV shows addiction, Instagram Reels addiction. They all work in the same way. So we're going to fix it the same way. That's how it's supposed to be. So first you need to identify your addiction. Have you done that? Is it Instagram, watching TV shows, playing video games? Once you identify that, you need to identify the consequences, which I've just told you. Right? When you keep doing this, your dopamine level falls. You feel worse. You end up being depressed because you're not able to feel the joys of life, and you need these Instagram Reels or video games just to feel that little bit of happiness. Right? So that's the consequences of your addiction. So now we need to see the extent of your addiction. Because sometimes when you see how much time you spend on these addictions, you may feel that little bit to quit. And you want to feel like you want to quit. You'll want to quit once you see that, right? A little bit. So if you scroll on Instagram a lot, check your screen time. How long do you spend a day on Instagram? If you play TV shows, if you watch TV shows, how much time do you spend on that? How much time do you spend playing video games? Right? How much do you smoke? How much do you drink? You need to figure all that out. And how much junk food do you eat? Once you identify the extent of your problem, right, how much you're doing these things, you'll find that you have this little bit of motivation just to quit. Because you see how bad it is for you. And I've already explained how bad it is for you. That may create a bit of motivation. But now you need to go see the extent of the problem. You need to now start improving your mental health, your dopamine levels. Because the reason you're addicted to something is because your dopamine receptors are fried. And the level of dopamine that you have in your body is so low. Because you keep dropping your baseline levels when you keep giving yourself those peaks of dopamine. Right? So now you want to increase those receptors. You want to increase your dopamine levels. You want to heal those receptors that are dead. And you want to heal them. And the magical thing about your body is it can heal your receptors. Do you remember as a child you used to feel joy in everything? You used to feel joy in running around playing tag with your friends, or like eating a nice meal. You can feel the same way if you just take care of your receptors and don't kill your receptors. So now we want to fix these receptors so you can start feeling joy in life. In normal things, you won't even need the addictions anymore. Or you won't even need those habits anymore. Because you're going to start feeling the joy in life. So what you need to do is to fix your dopamine levels. right? First, you need to have a mission, a purpose. So many people are addicted nowadays because they don't have a purpose in life. They don't have a mission in life. Like from an early age, you're just given this path in life: go to school, go to college, get a good job, and get good grades, get a good job, and stay there. Maybe get a promotion and retire. That's the life that's been set out for everyone. That's the life everyone follows. But there's no purpose in that. What mission do you have? And maybe you want this career. And I'm not saying careers are bad. I'm just saying you should not follow this mindlessly. Many people do. That's why so many people are depressed. Because they're just following this path with no direction in life. They have no purpose, no mission. I was like that too when I was depressed. Like any other teenage guy I know. No purpose, no mission. Of course, why would I have a mission or purpose? I'm just 17? But I've realized that because nobody has a mission or a purpose nowadays. What's your purpose? Why do you exist in this world? You need to find your purpose. What can I contribute to humanity? And that's why I found my purpose. I want to teach you guys about mental health. I want to help the world improve their mental health. And I found my purpose. And I want to keep going on it. I want to keep improving on it so I can teach you better and that I can have a bigger impact. And as soon as I figured out this purpose, I got this desire to grow. I got this desire to stop these bad habits, start to grow, go to the gym, improve my life, improve my own mental health. Right? And once I got this mission, I stopped doing all the bad habits. I basically don't do any bad habits now. I don't have Instagram on my phone. And I don't have Instagram on my phone. I haven't watched a TV show in so long. I don't eat junk food. In fact, I avoid sugar altogether. I avoid all the junk food because since my mental health is good now, right, I don't want to put that stuff into my body. I know it's going to harm me. I haven't watched Instagram reels. I haven't scrolled on Instagram for 6, 7, 8 months now. And all that is because I found my purpose. When you have this purpose, this mission, you have one goal to work towards. You have one mission to work towards. And you're willing to sacrifice whatever it takes to get there. So you need to find your purpose. You need to find your mission. It doesn't have to be so big. Maybe it can be just learning how to play guitar, learning how to play the piano, learning how to play football. These simple things can be your purpose, your mission. My mission was to improve my mental health, to improve my life, to teach people about mental health. So like that, you can have a mission to learn how to play the guitar, learn how to start drawing, learn how to play football, learn how to play the piano, anything. Once you have this goal, once you have the mission, go to the gym. You can have a mission to build a good physique, to become healthy. That's an amazing mission. That's an amazing goal to have. Right? And once you have this goal, build yourself up. You know that's your mission. Stick that stuff up on the wall. Have a goal. I want to become jacked by the end of the year. I want to be 60 kg. I want to be lean. I want 10% body fat. Put that up on the wall. Put that up on your wall. Have that mission in your mind 24/7. And when you have that mission on your mind, do you think you're going to go eat junk food and just drink sodas or whatever? Or are you going to start taking care of yourself? Are you going to be more mindful about what you eat? So you need to have this purpose. Purpose is like the destroyer of bad mental health. Because when you have a why to your life, you'll always have an answer to how. You need to have a why to your life. Why am I here? Why am I in this world? What purpose do I have? Not just to be another office worker or someone who just not contributing anything to society. You need to have this mission, this purpose, and you create this better mental health. And when you have this mission, this purpose, and you feel like quitting this bad habit that you're addicted to, maybe it's scrolling on Instagram, maybe it's eating junk food. Like I said, if you have this mission to get to 10% body fat, you're not going to put these garbage foods into your body. You're going to start taking care of what you eat. You're going to start taking care of how you exercise, how much you exercise. You're going to start exercising more. And when you have this purpose, your whole life follows to that. Everything that you do should lead to that. So keep that in mind. Have a purpose. And your mental health will start improving. And start setting goals. And if you have this addiction, right, you can't quit it overnight. You can't quit an addiction overnight. It's just not possible. If you've been scrolling on Instagram for 3 years, 4 years now, if you've been addicted to that for like 4 years, if you've been addicted to video games for 4 years, binge eating for many, many years, you can't quit that in one day. Having a strong purpose helps you definitely so much, so strong. But your addictions that you've been building up over many years, you can't get rid of it in a week or 2 weeks, right? So you have to work towards it. What do you need to do now? You need to start reducing your addictions. If your addictions is like scrolling on Instagram, this works for everything, scrolling on Instagram, right? If you scroll 8 hours a day, try to make it 7.5 tomorrow. Try to make it 7 the day after that. Make it 6 the day after that. Set a time, like no social media right when I get up. No social media till 9 a.m. No Instagram till 9 a.m. No phone till 9 a.m. Keep your phone outside when you go to sleep, so you don't wake up and immediately start scrolling. Set up goals and systems for you to stop this habit. And stop trying to delete the app or throwing away the junk food or throwing away the alcohol, because you're just going to go buy more junk food, alcohol. You can just re-download the app in 10 seconds. That's not going to help. You need to be the kind of person who doesn't need that addiction anymore. You need to not want to click on that app. You need to want to, you can just see that app and just not want to click on it. You need to become that kind of person. So slowly start reducing it. And every time you succeed in one of these habits, right? Keeping your phone outside when you go to sleep. Keeping your phone in another room when you go to sleep. Or staying away from junk food, 1 meal a day. Right? If you have junk food thrice a day, once if you just stop eating junk food. If you resist the temptation to snack on some chips or whatever. It's telling your brain, right? Okay, he's improving. He's not as unhealthy anymore. You're giving this new self-image to your brain. Right now, if you eat junk food, you have this self-image of an unhealthy person, of someone who doesn't take care of himself. But when each time you succeed, you're telling your brain, I'm not the same person anymore. I've changed. Because every action that you do is enforcing your self-image. Every time you scroll, you're enforcing that. Okay, I'm a doom scroller. I'm addicted to social media. Right? And each time you agree to that, each time you accept that, yeah, I'm addicted to social media, but it's fine. Each time you say that, right, your self-image is getting enforced. Your tongue is the sharpest thing in the world to your brain. Your brain believes your tongue. If you tell your brain, I'm healthy, I'm a healthy person, I don't eat junk food, right? You're enforcing that, and you have to believe it. You're enforcing that in your brain. You're not going to eat junk food. I don't eat junk food. You're enforcing this new self-image of a healthy person, of someone who exercises. Each time you succeed in keeping your phone in another room, you're enforcing that self-image of someone who's healthier, who cares more about his sleep, who cares more about his self and his brain and his mental health. So each action that you do afterwards, it's going to get affected by your self-image. Because your self-image is what determines your actions. You look around you, everything around you, it's determined by your self-image, who you are. If you have a dirty, disgusting room, you have old clothes lying around, right? And it's just a dirty room. It reflects your self-image. So start cleaning up your room. Make yourself the person who deserves a clean room. Make your self-image that. Right now, your self-image is someone who doesn't deserve a clean room, and who's not healthy, who doesn't take care of himself. But you need to start changing your self-image. Because your self-image is what's going to take you from the person you are now to the person who you want to be. Because every time you want to go to the gym and you don't feel like it, you're fighting your self-image. And each time you succeed in going to the gym, your self-image changes. And if your self-image changes, it becomes easier for you to go to the gym. Because you have this identity of someone who goes to the gym, who is healthy, who exercises. So your brain is going to tell you to go to the gym more. Because it aligns to your self-image. The thoughts and urges that you get align to your self-image. The urges you get to eat junk food or to scroll on social media, it aligns to your self-image. So if you can change that, you build this better version of yourself that's capable of doing so much more. And get on a dopamine detox. Get on a dopamine detox and build a new life. You're no longer the same person after watching this video. You've decided that you're not going to live like this anymore. You're not going to stay with these addictions. You want to change. So you're not the same person anymore. You're going to change. How are you going to do that? It's by dopamine detoxing. I want you to stop doing these habits as much as you can, right? By reducing it and by staying away from it as much as you can. Right? Just try to stay away from it. If you accidentally go and scroll on Instagram, it's fine. Just make sure what you're doing today is better than what you did yesterday. And what you do the next day is better than what you did today. So keep going down and you do this dopamine detox. That's when people tell you to do dopamine detox, they tell you to stop this habit completely for about 30 days or something. That doesn't really work because you almost always end up failing. This dopamine detox is not for like one day or a 30-day challenge. It's for life. We want to improve our life. And this is a challenge that we're doing. It's not a challenge, it's a lifestyle that we're adopting. This dopamine detox lifestyle. This is not a challenge. So since we're doing this for our whole life, we don't have this impatience to immediately quit all the bad habits. We want to take it slowly so that for the next majority of our life, we don't use these bad habits. Because when we do this challenge, 30-day, 7-day challenge, we end up going back to our addictions afterwards. But this is something that we're doing for our whole life. So we want to remove all traces of that addiction. And the way you do that is by slowly reducing it. Like the way I told you. No social media before 9 a.m. Maybe try taking one day every week to just completely detox, not do that habit at all. Do these things, set yourself these challenges that's going to help you improve. And build this new life because you're no longer the person you were before. Keep that in mind.